she's a little weird. What? If you have watched episode 8, you know you know. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute. The last video I filmed was in October, but life. That's all I gotta say. Today I will be discussing the books that I read this quarter. So the books that I read in January, February, and March. I'll discuss my top ones. So I'll just give like a brief overview of the ones that I read, and then the top ones for that particular month. I think I'm going to discuss what I've been watching too, because I watch a lot of TV, I watch a lot of series. I've read 4 books each month. So I read so in January I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Atmosphere basically follows 2 astronauts. It's kind of like a forbidden love because at the time, I think it was in like 1970, it's 2 women, and at the time that was not socially acceptable, so they had to keep their relationship private. So they were navigating that. I don't know what's on the back of the book because I don't have the physical copy. I read it. I borrowed it from my library through via the Libby app. I don't want to give away too much. And then I read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. If this is my reading slash watching journal, so this is just going to keep me on track with all the books that I read because I read 12 books. So A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I do not remember the author's name. I will put it here. She wrote the irregular. The author wrote The Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I loved that book. I don't know if it was a debut, but I truly enjoyed that book that she wrote. This one, it was okay. So this one follows the main female character. She has powers when she's young, and then something happens and she loses all of her powers. So she spends like 20 years, 15, 20 years trying to get her powers back. And then of course, there's going to be quirky characters along the way. And then I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I read that book because the movie adaptation came out in January on Netflix, so I wanted to read the book before I watched the movie. It is about 2 friends. Every year they decide to go on a trip together, no matter what is going on, whether they have partners or not. They decide to go on these trips, and slowly they begin to fall in love with each other. And then I was a beta reader for one of my favorite authors, Nell Nicole. She has written 4 books, the State of the Union series. The first one is Rising. I read all of them on Kindle Unlimited. So these are, if you have Kindle Unlimited, they are available there. Rising, uh, I'll put them all up here because I don't remember all of them. So it was 3 main books and 1 novella. She's coming out with the 5th book in that State of the Union series. She also co-wrote Cuxle Academy. I haven't read that one yet, but it's in my Kindle TBR. So I was a beta reader for her for, I don't know if I can even say the title. I know she's talked about it on her social media, but I don't know how much I can say about it. But it basically follows the great daughter of Admiral someone. He basically discovered a underworld underneath the Antarctic continent, and they tried to write him off as crazy, like, no, this is, you don't know what you saw, like this didn't happen, blah blah blah. But she discovers the world, so it just goes from there. It was very beginning of the book, so the real action had not happened yet, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know when that book is coming out. That was actually my top read for January. February, I read 4 books again. First one, Immortal Dark. It basically follows a teenager. I think she's like a older, well, they're in college. So like a older teenager, she is trying to figure out, her sister is missing. So she's trying to figure out who kidnapped her sister, and she thinks it's a vampire. She gets selected to go to this prestigious school that is for vampires, humans, and fae. And so, a part of being at that school, you are assigned a house based on who your family was. So she inherited this house from her mother and father. But each house has a vampire and or fae. I think the fae stay in the house too. I'm not 100%. Her house had has a vampire, and the particular vampire in her house is a vampire she thinks kidnapped her sister. So she goes on this, quest to find out, to get evidence to prove that he actually kidnapped her sister, and trying to find where she is. And then I've read Love Requires Chocolate. This was a very cute YA romance. I just picked it up on a whim at Second and Charles because it was $3 and I saw black people on the cover. It was very cute. It follows the main female character. She is doing a semester abroad in Paris, and she is gathering information to do her one woman show based on Josephine Baker. And along the way, she has to have a tutor. So she ends up with this French tutor who they did not start off on their on at their best. It goes from, why do I have to be assigned to him? Can I have someone else, to like them slowly developing a friendship there. And her thing with chocolate is she's on the hunt to find the best chocolate. And he actually happens to work at a chocolatier. His stepfather is a chocolatier. So it just goes from there. But it was really cute, a really cute YA romance. And then I read The Beginning of Forever. This is the third book in the Rise and Fall series by A.E. Valdez. The first one is All I Ever Wanted, All I Ever Needed, follow Asen and Harlow, aka Sunshine and Ace. And then the second book is Colliding with Fate. The female character is Quinn. I can't remember the male character's name. That's the second book. And the third book, where I'm about to talk about The Beginning of Forever, it's a continuation of the story of Ace and Sunshine. A lot of people say it's just like an extended epilogue, and that's exactly what it is. It's an extended epilogue of their love story. I thought it was very cute, very very spicy, very very spicy. If you read that, know that going into it. And I thought it was just a really cute read following them, in case you wanted, more from them. And then I read All Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. This was my first S.A. Cosby read. Won't be my last. This one basically follows a serial killer. They're trying to figure out who this serial killer is and why he is targeting certain people. And then I read A Worthy Love by A.E. Valdez. This was my top book of February. This book is the fourth and final book in the Rise and Fall series, and it follows Marissa and Asher. We get a glimpse of the dynamic between Marissa and Asher in the third book, The Beginning of Forever, where they get together, I think, the night before they leave Vegas, because they are on a bachelorette trip for Asen and Harlow. So they get together. Quinn says it was a great night, and Asher says the same, but he broadcasted to the entire friend group. Like, they're all in a room because Marissa is missing. They didn't know, they were all drunk. So when they woke up, like, where's Marissa? Where's Marissa? Like, they didn't know where she was. So come to find out, she was in Asher's room. And so so he comes out and says something slick, because Asher is a self-proclaimed jerk. So he comes out and says something slick, and she is like fuming, like she throws a shoe at him and everything. Like, it's hilarious. If you read the scene, like, you will be laughing out loud. So that's how you meet them in book 3. So fast forward to book 4. It talks about that, but it starts off with, she was in a relationship with someone for 6 months, Reese, who can catch these hands. Reese was married with children, and she did not know that. And Marissa did not know that. And his wife befriended Marissa, knowing that Marissa was the other woman. The wife invited Marissa to their house for like some sort of dinner where they had like a lot of important people there, and she basically called Marissa out, called her a whore, and just was like, yeah, and stuck with her husband. So yeah, that's kind of where it goes. And then we have Asher, who comes into the picture. Marissa is in Portland. Asher's job relocates him to Portland for a little while. So it just goes from there. And Marissa suffers with a bout of depression, grief. Check your triggers. Yeah, and he is there for her through thick and thin. Asher is 10 toes down for Marissa, and I loved every bit of this book. I saw some people like reviewed it and said like it was too long, like it was 500 pages, and I read that book in like 2 days. I loved it. I rated it 4.5 stars. I probably should have rated it higher, but it was 4.5 stars. It was so good. I'm not going to say it's exactly what I needed, but I did see a little bit of myself in Marissa. This was such a good book and definitely worth the read. You don't have to read the previous 3 books because it is a standalone interconnected series. But I think all of the books are good. I think you should read them all, but you don't have to read them all. Yeah, so that was my top read for February. And then we get into March. In March, I read 4 books again. I read Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. This is part of the second book in the Curvy Girl series. The first one was Curvy Girl Summer. Love that book. I think I rated that book like 4.5 stars. The amount of times I laughed, I even got one of my friends to like listen to the audiobook for that one. I just love that book so much. And the third one, I don't know if it's out or if it's coming out. Big Girl Blitz, but I read the Plus Size Player. Wasn't my favorite. It follows, I don't know her name. I don't know, but the main female character, she is dating, she's actively dating. Like she's dating multiple people, and she is someone who has different guys for different things. So like she wants to be intellectual, she has intellectual guy. She wants to go have a fun date, she has a fun guy. So the comedian, like she had one for everything, but there's one particular that stood out. And so it kind of follows their relationship. This one wasn't my favorite. Is also a spicy book, but it was just like, I think we first of all, I we didn't get to see how the one that stood out to her, we didn't get to see how they met and how their dates went for him to have such an effect on her. So I would have liked to have seen that. And also it was just following them and them having like this push and pull, and I didn't like it. uh, I didn't like it. So then I read King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. This one follows a family, 2 brothers and a sister. Their dad is in a coma from a bad car accident. The older brother lives in Georgia, in Atlanta. He goes down to, is it down or up to Virginia home to see about the dad. The sister is still running the cremation business that the dad founded. The brother is just a mess. Like the brother wants to be a dope boy so bad. He wants to be a thug so bad, and he is not. He is not. I don't know what the back of the book says because I read it through Libby. So I don't know how much I can say, but this was a good read. And then I read Velvet Was the Night by, I'm looking at the book, Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She wrote Mexican Gothic. Did not read Mexican Gothic, but I bought Velvet Was the Night simply because of the cover. Simply because of the cover. I thought the cover was so good, and then I read the back of it, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be such a good read. I was very intrigued. It is marketed as a noir romance. This is a 2 star. It was boring. I'm not going to elaborate. Well, I guess I should. I'll just read what I wrote in my book. I said this book was boring. It was marketed as a noir, and I felt like the story was there, but it lacked execution. And I think that's the best way to describe it. It basically follows 2 characters, the female and the male. I don't remember their name. The male was he named himself Elvis because he liked Elvis Presley, and then the female character, I don't know. I don't know what her name is. But so it's a dual point of view. So the female character, she's obsessed with like comics and the romance in the comics and whatnot. She's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like she's a little weird. And so she has a neighbor who asks her to feed her cat while the neighbor is out somewhere, like she leaves for a few days, and so she agrees. So this side note, like this is a side business that she has. Like the girl was like, oh, the landlord said that you watch after pets, and she was like, yeah, I do, blah blah blah. So she agreed, and the neighbor ends up missing. And so she's like, you gotta come get your cat. Like, I'm not a cat person, I'm a bird. Like, this ain't gonna work. She's like, you gotta come get your cat, but she doesn't know where the girl is, so she goes to like all these different places to find out, where the girl is. The girl finally calls her and is like, oh, meet me at such and such. She goes there, the girl isn't there. The girl's friend is like, oh, well, you haven't talked to her, like, blah blah blah. So it just goes from there. And then the guy, like, I don't even know what his purpose was. Like, they they don't come together until the epilogue. Okay, I'm I'm moving on. And then I actually read this one in the beginning of March, but I held off until because it was my top read, Daggermouth. I have a whole Instagram video on Daggermouth. This book was definitely worth the hype. I went into it like, let me see if it's real. It was on Kindle Unlimited, so what was there to be lost? Not gonna lie, the beginning of this book was a little it was a little boring. No, you know what? I'm not going to say boring. It was doing what it was supposed to do. Like, it kept you intrigued. It wasn't like a page turner, but it kept you intrigued. And I was like, oh, this is a good book. This is a solid 4. I don't get what the hype is. But when I got to 70, 80% of the book, shit hit the fan. Shit hit the fan. The amount of times I was like, what? What? My flabbers were gasted as or gas, however they say it. Like, I was shook. I was shooketh. So if you don't know what Daggermouth is about a mercenary who is sent on a mission to kill the prince of a different city that her people are not supposed to be in. I'm not going to go into much because, like I said, I did a whole video on it, so I don't want to be repetitive. But this book is so good. It is a true enemies to lovers. I don't care what you've read before. Like, maybe there are other books like that, but I'm a fairly new reader. I like took reading seriously in 2023, and I'm a woman of a particular age. So this book was a true, true enemies to lovers. Like, they literally tried to kill each other on multiple occasions. I don't even know if they still like each other. The jury is still out on if they still like each other. Like, y'all read the book. Read the book. That's all I'm gonna say. Read the book. That was a 5-star read, so I'm glad we were able to end off on a 5-star read. I enjoyed that book so much, I went and bought the physical copy because, like I said previously, I read it on my Kindle because it was on Kindle Unlimited. I was like, oh, I gotta get this book. And normally I'm like, oh, okay, I enjoyed the book, I want to get the physical copy. This one, I was like, oh, for sure, I gotta get the physical copy because there's no way. And plus, I wanted the indie cover of the book. But then I saw she released the traditional cover of the book, and I was like, I fear I may have to get that one too. So now we're going to discuss what I watched. I just do like a rapid fire. I don't know how long this video is. We started off with a banger. Stranger Things. I still think about that show. I fear I'm going to have to do like an annual rewatch of all the seasons. And I what it was 5. Why don't I remember? 5 seasons. It was 5 seasons, and I rewatched all the seasons leading up to the season 5, parts 1, 2, and 3. And I'm so glad I did because I some of the seasons, no recollection. And I've watched like every season when they came out, but like seasons 2, 3, I had no recollection. I had no recollection of like what happened, and so I'm so glad I did the rewatch. I also watched People We No, The Diplomat on Netflix with Carrie Russell, I think her name is, from what she played on Felicity. I never watched it, so I don't know. And it basically follows like a diplomat in London. It's really good. This was a second. No, this was season 3. Oh, It was the third season. It's I can't really say too much because it's had multiple seasons, but if you like political dramas, you would enjoy this one. And she's been nominated for some awards too. Then I watched People We Meet on Vacation. Didn't like it. Then we go on to February, and I watched The Rip on Netflix with Matt Damon and um, Ben Affleck. It was good. Action packed. Follows two cops. Okay, so I wrote it down. About a cop that receives a tip of a stash house with a lot of money in it. That's pretty much it, and it just goes from there. So then you have to decide whether or not he decided to keep the money because he has all this other stuff, personal stuff that he could take care of, or if he did what was right. So you have to try to, they want you to figure that out. I thought it was good. Then I watched Wonder Man on Disney Plus. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so anytime Disney comes out with a new Marvel movie, or TV show series, I am definitely watching. Wonder Man is so is let's see. I put Wonder Man reminds me of the Loki series. I really didn't enjoy that series. Like it was a I think Loki has two seasons, and I only watched the first season. So that kind of contradicts what I just said about watching. But I did watch the first season. So the Wonder Man is actually getting a second season. The main character in this one was he played Yaya something. He played in oh, what was that movie with Regina King? I am so not prepared for this. I'll put it up. But it had like one season on HBO, which was sad because it was a really, really good Watchmen. That's what it was. The Watchmen. He was in The Watchmen with Regina King years ago on on HBO. I don't know if it's still on HBO, but if it is, you should watch it because it was so good and it definitely deserved a season two. The main character is Wonderman, and it also has a character from the Iron Man series, the guy that played the terrorist, that acted like he was a terrorist and he had a drinking problem. Yeah, so he's in that one too, and it has been renewed for a season two. So I will be watching season two of Wonder Man. I also watched His and Hers on Netflix. That was a book, but I didn't read the book. I didn't want to, and I enjoyed it. I think I would gave it like an 8 star. It was a really good series. It's about a murder. A girl is murdered, and the detective and the reporter are connected to the girl that's murdered, but I no one has put two and two together. And I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too much, but that was kind of the gist of it. If you've seen the previews, you could kind of figure out what it is. It's on Netflix, so it's definitely worth the watch. Hijack on Apple TV. That was season two. The first one, a plane was hijacked. This one, a train was hijacked. So if there's a season three, I don't know what's left to hijack. A bus, but then you're going into speed territory. So I don't know. It was an enjoyable watch. It wasn't my favorite series this year, but it was an enjoyable watch. Cross with, don't remember his name. Sorry, I'm not good with names. Cross was good. The first season was better, but this one was equally good. And this one also, it follows a serial killer. That's all I'm going to say about it. It is on Amazon Prime. You should definitely watch that. It is really, really good, and the main character is very handsome. Then Paradise. If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. The season finale premiered yesterday. I watched it last night. I got so many questions and I can't talk about it because it's season two and I don't want to give any spoilers, but if you've made it to this far in the video and you see that I am distraught on Paradise, please comment comment below. Oh my god. If you know, you know. If you have watched episode 8, you know, you know. If you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you coming along this journey with me. And let me know in the comments if you have read any of the books that I spoke about or any of the TV shows that I have spoke about. And let me know what you think. And let me know if there's a book that you think I should read based on what you see is like my reading taste. So until next time, thank you again. See ya.